What is going on, everyone? It is LFC Transfer Room. Now, we need to start today's stream, obviously, with the acknowledgement that, the families of the 39 who were lost to the Heysel in Belgium 39 years ago. It's an anniversary today, and obviously our thoughts and prayers, if you're that way inclined, go to, obviously, families and things like that who have been affected by that. We're not going to spend too much time talking about it, are we, Jay? And hopefully we'll have Kev. Oh, Kev's already here to join us, but obviously you're near the ground, so I'm sure it's covered today, isn't it? Right, I'm just going to throw Kev in.
Here's your treat, everyone.
See who says we don't bring big guests on. Big Kev.
There he is.
All right,
Now,
boys, how are we?
Not bad,
Good,
not
lad.
bad.
Good.
Interestingly, Kelleher has been speaking to now Klopp's gone out of the shadows, James Pearce from the Athletic. Kelleher has been saying that obviously he wants to be a number one. Now, he made 26 appearances, 10 of those in the Premier League, went unbeaten. But to quote him, he said it would be silly to expect to overtake Alisson as Liverpool's number one, which may lead to somewhat else this summer. It would be great if it happened at Liverpool, but I'm not silly. I know Ali has been the best goalkeeper in the world for years. Now, that's an acknowledgement that obviously the only way that he could stay at Liverpool, Jay, is if Ali was to go elsewhere, isn't it? Yeah.
Definitely, if he wants to be the number one, mate. Kelleher, obviously, I think he was brilliant last year, mate. When he came in, you barely noticed the difference, to be fair, which that's only testament to how well he's done, because for me, Alisson's the best in the world. The only way I can put a comparison is if Messi in his prime was the player ahead of you, and you want to start games, you're going to get ahead of Messi, and not, because to me, Alisson is the Messi of goalkeepers. So if he wants to be the number one, it's not going to be at us while Ali's here. So probably the right time for him to move on. But he was brilliant when called upon. Couldn't say anything but positivity about him.
Who's better in the air, Kev, Alisson or Messi? Because he roars like a salmon.
He does, but so can Messi as well. He scored a few headers against United in the Champions League. So yeah, no, but exactly what Jake said. I quite like to hear this from him. It shows that, look, I want to step out of the shadows now. I don't want to be a number two. I've played that number two role a bit too long now, and I need to get out and start. I can start, and he can. And I think he's similar in the league as to where Ali was at the end of the season in saves made and stuff like that. So, he's on the right path, and as Jake said, it was seamless how he took over from Alisson. We were all a little bit. There was a bit of trepidation there because of what we've seen previously. The downgrade goes down quite a lot, but with Kelleher this season, it was just seamless, and he played well, and it was nice to see, to be honest. But no, I'm made up for him, and if it means that he has to leave Liverpool and get his number one spot, then so be it. Because within 3 years he'll be back at the club if he continues on that.
So let's throw some hypotheticals at you, because I know you both love these. Saudi have been rumoured to be interested in Ali, trying to make a deal happen, trying to get him on the signing, trying to get him over to L, whatever. If that deal happens, and please answer in the chat as well, would Kelleher be good enough to be Liverpool's number one at this moment in time? Jay?
Yeah, for me, yeah. Like you said before, the 10-game run he had in the Premier League unbeaten, the League Cup, the save he made to keep us in the game at that point. He took his chance when he got given it. To be honest, I felt a bit sorry for him that Alisson came right back into the side. Not because Alisson shouldn't. Alisson's the best in the world, like I've just said. But if you're performing and you've done nothing wrong, I always think it's a little bit harsh if you get dropped. Just because someone's come back, I always think you should stay with the form player. So, I mean, I don't want that to happen. I'd be livid if Alisson went. But if he did, I'd feel confident enough in Kelleher to be the number one. Like,
but I think the reason, Kev, why Ali comes straight back in is there's a huge gulf, and that's nothing against Kelleher. You're talking about the best goalkeeper in the world to top 20, top 30, top 40, top 50. Whereabouts would you put him? You know, how big a gap are we talking between the two for you? You need to pull your microphone down.
I would. That's a tough one, that, because I would say he's probably just outside the top 10, probably top 15. That's the difference between those two. Ali is just. I'll go on record to say that without Ali, we don't win everything that we have won.
Yeah.
Because he was the integral part of that piece. People talk about Virgil. Virgil was playing him behind Mingele and Karius before we got Ali in, and you saw what he had to deal with, and we were still conceding goals. You bring Ali in, and wow, we go up another 3 levels, and to have that kind of goalkeeper in, as you say, as soon as he's back, the only downside to Alisson is his injuries, the amount of injuries he gets as a keeper, and that's phenomenal, to be honest. I for someone who for a position where you don't expect your goalkeeper to be injured, he gets quite a lot of niggling injuries that results in him taking time out, and to have someone to step in as what Kelleher does is great. But I think if he was to do that consistently, you would notice the downfall from Ali to Kelleher. But that's just because Alisson's probably the best goalkeeper we've had since Clements.
Ali wins your points, doesn't he?
Exactly.
On his own. Like, legit, there's so many one-on-ones and he saves them where you're looking at it and you're going goal, and then Ali will save it.
Exactly. It's a bit like Czech was for Chelsea.
Yeah.
In the fact that you look at strikers, they have to be perfect and put it in the corner, and they overthink it because it's Ali in goal. So as well as getting past Virgil, you're then getting past. You're trying to get past one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and it sends a fear down people's throats as to, what do we do here? So it's the amount of points he has saved us over the year. But don't get me wrong, Kelleher's done that in this season as well. The Carabao Cup final, he played out of his skin and reacted in ways that I didn't expect him to, in Ali-esque kind of ways. But no, there is a gap between them. But that's just me.
So there's a couple of things for me where I think you've got to think Kelleher's coming in as this is an opportunity to really make an impact and stuff like that. He doesn't have the pressure that Alisson has. Now, Helior's in chat, so he will definitely correct me if I've got this wrong, but I believe this is Alisson's probably, I think, is his worst season for save percentage, and it was 75 point something. The next best goalkeeper was 71. Ali's best is 80 odd. That means for every 100 shots, he saves 80. Which is insane when everyone else is 70. That shows you the difference between Ali and everyone else. And I do think, there's a lot of people in chat saying, Kelleher maybe is the top 30, maybe is a. Are we being a little bit generous to a player, Jay, who has come in with no pressure to perform the best that he possibly could, but actually to be Liverpool's number one, you should be, in all honesty, performing at the top level with the pressure of gaining 10 points. Alex Ferguson said 10 points a season. The goalkeeper, I think Alisson gets us 10 points a season. I don't think Kelleher gets us 10 points a season. So maybe Kev's right. He needs to go away for 3 years, be that number one, do what Gallucci did, for example, at RB. And actually become a number one and understand what that pressure is before you bring it to Liverpool.
I think the thing is, when you say no pressure, that depends what way you look at it. Because to me, that's still massive pressure. You're taking the place of the best goalkeeper in the world, so all eyes are on you. Because if you make one mistake, the first thing everyone's going to say is, Ali would have saved that. Ali would have saved that. So every time you're
all the
coming
time
for
in chat.
it's true though, innit? So, you know, if he's coming for the ball and stuff like that, he's going to have in the back of his mind, Alisson. So I don't think it comes with no pressure to him, that, especially when it's been cup finals and things like that. So, no, I'd argue the opposite, that he has played under pressure because, like I say, if you're taking the space of someone who's the best in the world, you're going to be compared to that, which is huge pressure, in my opinion. So I think he's done the business when he's been asked to. So no, I think he's played under pressure. I do think, obviously, it'd be better for him to be a number one somewhere because he isn't going to get that at us realistically while Ali's there. But if he moved and had 2-3 good seasons or however long it is, then yeah, you'd be more than happy for him to come back.
I get that. I mean, I used to say that substitute goalkeeper was the best job in the world. You train with the best people, you get the best nutritionists, you get paid a really good salary, you get all the winners' medals when you get stuff. And if you play a game, you come off the bench to potentially save a penalty no one expects you to save, and suddenly you're a hero for 2 or 3 games. Everyone's expectations of you are lower, Kev. Now I've moved. Third choice goalkeeper is the best job in the world. Look at Scott Carson and what he's won. But previously it was second choice keeper. So whilst I get there's some pressure, he knows people don't expect him to be Ali, don't they? And therefore you have the freedom to express yourself a little bit more. And I'm not saying he's not performed well. I think he's performed admirably. I'm just not sure you could look at him and say that is a Liverpool number one keeper at this moment in time.
It's difficult, and I agree to some extent to what Jay said about it. You come in, no matter regardless, you've got to perform, and it's Liverpool Football Club, and there's a level and an expectancy of when you go out on that pitch. That said, I think his distribution is a lot calmer and a lot more better than what Ali is. So he's brought his own uniqueness on it, and you have to, because he can't be, I'm going to do the way Ali does. He's got to do the way he wants to do it, and he's performed really well. My only downside to that is that we've seen spits and sparks of it. I think if we were to see that on a level of a consistently 30 game season, they'd be worried. There would be a worry from certain parts and fractures of the fan base that would see a huge drop in certain games. And we've seen it with Kelleher over the last 2 seasons. We've seen the good of him. We've also seen the worst of him as well. There was coming to the end of the season before, there was a reluctance of him, let's just get shut. We're not getting anywhere near the 10 million because of his performances. But then he comes in this season and does an absolutely heroic job. So, you know, his performances have been up and down when he has come in. And I think that's what you're going to see with such a young goalkeeper. Me personally, I would like him to go away from the club. I want him to go to another club, establish himself, as you said before, of being a number one, knowing what it's like to be a number one, and then come back. By which stage Alisson will have gone, and he can then come in and step into the realms if he's good enough to do that. We've seen it happen to people before. Danny Ward, I thought, would go on and do a great job somewhere. Where's he now? Do you know what I mean?
Never say that on a stream with Marty.
But you know what I mean? He done well in the playoff final for Huddersfield when he was there. I thought he'd go and kick on at Leicester. Obviously, it didn't happen. And that's the struggle you have as a goalkeeper as well, is that when you do move, who's that move to? It has to be someone, if he wants to come back to us, it has to be someone who plays progressively, is what we do. Do you know what I mean? And, you know, last thing I want to see him doing is going to a club and he's constantly under getting shots every 2 minutes of the game. So it's difficult. I think we would see him and a slightly more of a drop off. You see that lower peak going a little bit more than what it would have done if he only played 10, 15 games a season. But it's difficult. But I also see Jake's point of view as well, which was rightly said as well.
And now Scott on Twitter, he says this: if he goes on loan, who's our new number 2? Obviously, we know Adrian's leaving. He didn't get a send off, did he?
Probably give himself one. That's it.
Honestly. So if we lose Kelleher and we lose things, now Jaros was playing for Sturm Graz and won the league. He was their number 1 keeper. So I think probably he comes in and does one of the top 3 spots. And is it Petiluga? The Brazilian, he went away on loan. So you could probably have, you probably say Jaros would be your number 2 keeper and Petiluga would be your 3rd choice keeper. And you would have strength in depth because you've had someone that's played an entire season. So you could lose Adrian for 60k a week. 60k a week. But
criminal.
I'd have Oblak, me,
David De Gea's got no club. Hasn't conceded a goal all last season, De Gea. Do you know what? Nobody scored against De Gea last year. £30 million, Jay, comes in Kelleher. Not enough for it. Would you sell him?
There's a keeper link with a move now, and it might be Ramsdale.
Who? Bilal, isn't he Feyenoord's keeper?
Oh, no, not for us. Sorry, I'm just about in general. A keeper in the Premier League's meant to be moving. I'm sure it was Ramsdale, and he was muted at like 40 million or something. If you're getting 40 million for Ramsdale, then Kelleher's 40 million. Ramsdale's a joke. He honestly is a joke of a goalkeeper. He can pull off some worldy saves, but some of the stuff he does, he probably cost Arsenal the title, not last season, the one before, come the end of it. I'd argue he cost them the title. He's an absolute clown. So if you get 40 million for him as one, what did you say, 30?
30.
Yeah, you couldn't. I suppose you can't argue with 30 for a number 2, but if Ramsdale was 40, I think I wouldn't even go to the table unless it was 35 above.
I mean, for a club, Kelleher's on what, 10-15 grand a week. For a club, it's a bargain, isn't it?
Yeah.
Talking Ramsdale, who's on like 150. Kev, 30 mil, would you let him go? And let us know in chat. 30 mil, would you let him go? 35, what's your limit? At what point are you like, Kelleher, get the fuck out?
I've said anything over 25, I'd take. And I think that's reasonable. And I'd, as Red Zabby would say, have some kind of buyback clause as well in that sense. But no, that's what I'd do. 25 or above with a buyback clause. How about yourself, James?
Abby Salzburg would be a good option.
You and Salzburg, what? I'm waiting for you to come on with a Red Bull cap or something.
I know.
Next week. I'd let him go for anything over 25. I'd let him go. I think he deserves the opportunity to be a number 1 keeper. I don't think he's good enough to be a Liverpool number 1 keeper. I think Jaros has now had first team experience for a year, so he probably should be number 2. I also like him as a keeper, not because I think he's technically better than Kelleher, but when someone's like 7 foot tall and massive, it's just more intimidating, isn't it? It just makes strikers make more mistakes. And I think that's what Alisson does so well. He intimidates with his presence and how he positions there. Kelleher is small for a keeper, in my view. I think he's a great keeper, but I think he's small in some ways. So you strikers sometimes feel like they can just curl it round him and stuff. Whereas if you've got a 7 foot giant, you'd be like, I'm gonna have to put a bit more waz on that. So I'd let him go anything above 25, 30 definitely. 30 Helior, 30 to 35. At that point, I mean, it's a classic Mickey Edwards move, that, isn't it? 30 million comes in. It's like Bournemouth. Where are Bournemouth at this moment? That's where we used to. That's where we used to. Brad Jones, Jordan Ibe, Solanke was a good deal for them, but still to shift them off.
Jerome Sinclair, another one.
Yeah. Now, next on our list is the Carabao Cup. is introducing a seeding mechanism so that European clubs don't end up playing against each other.
Why?
So it will be a kind of draw so that teams that are playing in these new European leagues and stuff like that aren't getting drawn against each other and stuff like that. I am going to take from the we are not for this, Jay.
This is the first I've heard of it, to be honest, lads. I think that's a proper cop-out and shitty for smaller clubs. To have a chance to win it, basically. Because if all the big clubs are avoiding each other, then we know who's going to be in the final every year. It's going to be one of the big six, generally. So, yeah, I think that's it's good for smaller clubs, I suppose, getting the revenue if they're playing at an away ground at one of the big clubs. But in terms of actually winning it and a little chance to get in Europe, I think it's a bit crap for the smaller teams. And it does take away, obviously, the spectacle of big ties in the draw. Not many people are excited about the EFL anyway, the Carabao Cup. So taking away the big games from it kind of makes it even less desirable now.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think sometimes some of the best games in the Carabao Cup are mid-table Premier Leagues playing rotated squad against League One, League Two, and it all just explodes into like goals and everything like that. I remember, was it when we played Luton and it was 6-3? Was it Luton or was it Peterborough? Someone will remember. Helios here. Kev, what do you think? Seedings? Are you for it?
Totally and utterly against it. I think it's something that they're trying to do to make it more enthusiastic for everyone and more appealing. You're just ruining and tarnishing a cup. You're losing the dreams that people have at the start of the season of getting to somewhere. How many times do you see in the Carabao Cup a League One or a league or a championship side get to the semi-finals, and sometimes make the final? You're taking that kind of dream away and aspirations. What's the point? Why? How about this then? How about you just fuck everyone else off and just leave the ones that you've seeded to get to the semi-finals and the final? Let's just have it right. It's just it's ridiculous that they've even come up with something that they actually think on paper looks great, but in reality is going to be an absolute. It's going to be disastrous.
Yeah, and I think it's things like, as Helios says there, some of the Champions League are going to be played on Thursdays next season as well.
Yeah.
They've created this whole league mentality, which I am not a fan of the whole league idea of this new Champions League. I think it's an absolute... So you can play Real Madrid away, get battered, and then you can play RB Salzburg at home and batter them, and there's no consistency in who you play and whether you play home or away. So you just... And then 3/4 of the league make it through to a playoff against each other anyway. I think it's only like 7 to 10 teams that get knocked out. I do not like the new league format, and I think if it's going to start to change our domestic leagues, I'd rather they sack the Carabao Cup off and start to do seedings, and they start to create this environment where basically we're feeding through top 8 to the quarterfinals and semi-finals, so they can get a bit more money from a bit more crowds and a bit more thing. Before you know it, quarterfinals will be at Wembley and stuff like that.
Why can't they just leave footy alone?
Council-funded United Stadium.
100% with you with that, Jake.
Just leave footy alone. That's the game we all fell in love with. Fucking however many 100 years ago, when you just keep trying to change this, adding more games, adding more formats, just leave it alone. You hungry, greedy fuckers. That's all it is. Just leave it as it is.
Well, the Champions League one came in whilst we were all kicking off and fuming about the Super League.
Oh, it just
during that Monday, the UEFA voted on this new competition that we're seeing from this season onwards. Disgraceful.
Like the Nations League, like De Bruyne's even said himself, I can't be asked going to this. I don't even want to play it. Like footballers are coming out telling you, I don't even want to play this match, so just swerve it.
What it'll end up with, it will have to end up with a couple of big players saying, I'm not playing national football ever again. because
Yeah.
I'm too busy at domestic.
Yeah, that's the only way. You probably lad it right.
You've got the new and expanded Club World Cup. So that
There's a
FIFA can
FIFA
generate
World
more
Club
money.
Championship as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
See,
That's next season.
So that's an expanded. Is it 32 teams?
I think so. Yeah.
I think where obviously they're from all over the world. So again, FIFA can generate more money from this, and it's all money. It's all a money grab, as opposed to I don't want to watch Liverpool against Corinthians. I don't care. I don't.
But
not
the thing
like
is, though,
normal
James.
fans don't even go to the game. Sorry, go ahead, lad. Go on.
No. The problem you've got is, and Scudamores already saying this. Do you want to get away from season ticket holders?
Yeah.
So do you want fans to be rotational, in a sense that you go to 3 games a season or something like that, and everyone gets an opportunity to go? It sounds great, but it won't happen. But then games played all over the place. It's madness. It's madness, mate. But
You start to do
that's
that.
where we go.
You start to end up like the Southern clubs, the little song sheet on the chair when you come in, turning it into songs of praise, going, oh fucking hell, where's that Arnie Slot song? What's the tone out? Arnie, what's everyone else singing? Do you know what? I can't. Let's get
sing
my phone
that
out
Chelsea
instead.
song again.
I was just gonna say, lad, the Arsenal and Chelsea fans should be all right, shouldn't they? What's that word again? Oh yeah.
That's where we're ending up, though, isn't it? Games over abroad. Champions League are looking at playing games in America for the semi-finals and potentially a final. I think they've looked at the NFL and I've thought that's a money-winning idea. Let's do our way of doing that. Sad.
Well, loads of sports getting dragged. Look at boxing. Boxing now no longer happens in the UK or in America. Like America, like Madison Square Garden, stuff like that used to be huge for boxing events. You used to draw in world crowd. Everything happens in Saudi now in a small stadium, few people watching. Cristiano Ronaldo sat next to which boxer today? Great. I went to the Ricky Hatton Costa Zoo fight, which was Emian Arena, packed. Had to wait an hour to get a beer, so I bought 5. And it was the best night of boxing I've ever seen in my life. That fight was unbelievable and live. It was, and that's what you want to see. Now, all they're going to do is they're going to kill the love of a sport by taking it away from fans that can't get involved in the atmosphere. You make stadiums rotational fans. People will fall out of love with it because they're not able to experience it. It's atmosphere of stadiums that becomes addictive to people. It's that feeling, it's that buzz, and they want that emotion to happen within the game or within the sport, and we're taking that all away. How long before you think Grand National, goes on tour? Grand National on tour, we just take the jumps and we just move them around all over the world. It's stupid, isn't it? But and we joke. There is a real chance of stuff like this happening, isn't there, Jay?
Yeah, because to me now, the way they're turning it, it's almost like a gala event or the Oscars. You go, like, they make a big thing out of the whole day, like people are avenues, and it's almost the guests become more important than the actual event itself. Like you've just said, like Cristiano Ronaldo comes in and he spent 15 minutes watching the tit walk in, flashing his watch with Conor McGregor. Like, what about the fight? Like, talk about the fight, show highlights, show how they got to this point. Where now it's, like you say, it's all just glamour and glitz, mate, rather than the actual event itself. And that's what's killing the atmosphere. And Anfield's like that now after time, unfortunately. It's just taking away the atmosphere of games and the excitement of the actual event itself.
What do you think it's like for the players, Kev? Because I'm going to stick with boxing because it was a really good example. That I don't know if you watched the Usyk Fury fight. It was easily one of the best fights I've seen in a really long time. It was unbelievable fight. Atmosphere was terrible, and so your adrenaline can't be as high, and it can't feel the same as if you've got 80,000 people in Wembley going mental constantly.
It's difficult, and especially with boxing as well, because it's such a compact, confined space, you'll hear your own supporters, and that'll spur you on in rounds where you're not doing well. If you're not getting any kind of reaction from the fans, then your performance goes down slightly because of it. And it's a shame, really, but that's the way we're going with every sport. You look at snooker as well. Snooker may be moving from Sheffield for the world championships, and that's been talked for years. So, but money talks, and sadly, that's the way we're going. It will be under the umbrella that UEFA use of the football family, and fans are priority, and it's sad in a way that that we are a global fan base and we have fans all over the place, and it would be nice if we could play all our games, all 60 games, all around everywhere where all our fans are. But sadly, we can't do that, and sadly, fans do have to miss out, and sadly, we play a league in which it has to be in England, and the only way you're going to be able to get there is by flight. What we're now saying is that that's now all out of bounds. And anywhere and everywhere is possible. It's unfair. You see with the NFL moves. There's 4 or 5 games now in Germany, Brazil, England. That takes a lot out of your schedule to move around to these places. I don't think it's right, but that's the way we're going, and we see how much money's involved in this, and that's all they're worried about. They're just milking fans and just trying to do that. Look, here's your opportunity to see Liverpool play. Yeah, but the players are going to be fatigued, going to be jet lagged, and you're moving them halfway around the world just to play one game for 90 minutes, in which the fans won't have any kind of. It'll be great for the first one, but then it'll start getting downplayed. And I've seen it in Australia when we played there. It's great for You Never Walk Alone, but all the other parts of the game, it's just a noise, and it feels like a pre-season game, sadly.
Do you know why that one did? Because it was.
No, but it will end up like a pre-season game, though, and it shouldn't be like that, though, James. Do you know what I mean? The first game they'll want to do is something like a Liverpool Man United game.
Yeah,
that's not
that's what they want.
Yeah, exactly. And we can take that to Asia. Okay, sound. But it ends up like a pre-season game because you're gonna have to go there for 2 weeks. They're gonna have to get acclimatized. They have to play a game there anyway. It's ridiculous, and it's just a money spinning idea. It's like what Newcastle did at the end of the season, going to Dubai and playing the game against Leicester. What's all that about?
Just shitty Mexican waves the whole game, innit?
Exactly. That's what you end up with. There'll be no kind of. It won't be like at Anfield or at Old Trafford. It'll be a Nottingham game. And going back to your initial question, that affects the players as well, because they go into this kind of rivalry thinking, right, we're going to knock their heads off and we're going to do this. And if the fans aren't reacting in the way that they normally do, you go, well, what's the point?
Yeah.
Now
I'm going to finish the stream by just looking at some. Alan the slot starts in 2 days. That's 2 days. 2 days. Klopp's already been on the phone. He said, I don't know if you watched that, if you've seen the highlights of that night with the Klopp.
I was there, mate.
Were you there? Nice.
Yeah. All emotional, mate.
Doesn't he? Were you part of the group outside that were just chanting for an hour straight afterwards?
No. I was in a boozer somewhere.
That sounds about right.
Sadly.
Obviously, he's been on the phone to Ansel. They've had a chat and stuff like that. He's like, oh, me and Kenny used to talk about ideas and strategies and stuff like that. I'm available should he ever want to. He's going to be part of the Liverpool Foundation, which is more of an indication Klopp is going to try and retire. Might not pull it off, but he's going to give it a go. But I'm going to ask you and Stream, players you think are going to change roles and position. Now, Rafael van der Vaart's been talking about Gravenberch needs to redevelop himself into a Nigel de Jong number 6. Now, he seriously needs to hit the gym for that to have any level of ability. But, a couple of thousand pull-ups, do you think it could be a beast of a number 6? I think there's something nice about how he controls and moves and manipulates the ball, Jay. I don't really see him as a battering ram.
No, I don't fancy him as a 6. I think Van der Vaart's got a point that Gravenberch needs to identify what type of midfielder he is, because I don't think he's a particular type at the minute. He's not an 8, he's not a 6. I think he does his best work, though, in the opposition area and just outside of it, to be honest. I said the back end of last season, I'd actually like to see Grav as a 10. But the problem we've got is we've got about 4 or 5 players that can play that role. So Van der Vaart's got a great point that Grav needs to find what his position is, but I don't think it's a 6. I don't think that's... I think you'd lose a lot of what he can do if you had him in the 6. I'd really like to see him in the 10. I think he's really, really good on the ball, turning and stuff and finding little pockets of space. But again, we're sort of stacked in that place, so it'll be interesting to see what Slot does with him. But I think that's, we've said this on another stream, it's like that for a lot of players, Gakpo, Trent, Elliott, even Curtis Jones. So all of it's going to be interesting to see what Slot thinks, where all these players fit in. But I wouldn't be putting Gravenberch in a 6 myself personally. I don't think that's his game or his strength.
Now, Kev, if there is a Dutch player in world football, Liverpool have been linked to them. Bilal, as we've been linked to, which is the fine odds keeper. And obviously he said he'd love to play for Slot again, but he's going to say that. And why would the Dutch national keeper come to Liverpool to be number 2? So that's not going to happen. However, there are rumours Arsenal are trying to sign him. But again, why would he sign for a club and then reduce his national opportunities? It kind of makes no sense. The only Dutch player I would be open to is Frimpong, and that is because I want to move Trent inside. Because that's where I want to see him. But we're going to see a lot of Dutch links, aren't we? Because that's the easy link. Like last season, we saw a lot of midfielders. Well, all we saw was midfielders constantly linked. I think this summer, if it's a Dutch player, take it with a pinch of salt. Yeah?
It is, yeah. Although there is one I would love us to get, and that's Van Persie's son, who's a striker. And if we can get him, it would be amazing. But no, we saw this with Klopp when he came in. How many times were we linked with Götze? How many times were we linked with Hummels? How many times Gundogan? Whether it was true or not, you know what I mean? We did go in for him, and he chose City. It always happens if you get him. You know, it was like Rafa. You know, how many Valencia players would come on with him as well? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. When he joined us, you know, it happens. It's lazy journalism until something concrete happens. And the worrying thing for us is if the Dutch go further in the Euros this season, then you're just going to be linked with everyone, and sadly that's and that is going to happen. I'd love it if I was Slot. I'd just be going to all the Dutch games just to wind the journalists up, going, "Oh, look, he's definitely, but we're definitely buying it." It's ridiculous, dude. You only have to see what happened with Sevenag. He goes back to Ajax, and look how he's decimated this club even further. It's great. We don't do it. Just there's no need to, and I don't think we get down that road anyway. I think if Slot wants someone for Feyenoord, I can guarantee Michael Edwards will have an alternative that's probably better.
I mean, I'm still waiting for us to sign Ada Turam.
Pablo Aimar, I
what a player!
Absolutely. The season before we played Valencia, and Benitez was the manager, Pablo Aimar had one of his best games against us, and oh my word, he was unbelievable.
And Ruben Baraja was as well.
Yeah.
Remember them old midfielders?
Oh my God, lad.
They were unbelievable. That's Pablo Aimar, man, what a player.
He didn't really play for Argentina as much because Riquelme was there at the same time, wasn't he?
Riquelme was a Barca at the time, but he weren't playing. He got loaned out. Where did he go? Was he Villarreal?
Yeah,
Villarreal. So, but they love Riquelme. He was like their poster boy. He was their Ronaldinho for the Argentinians. But Aimar was a better player.
This is the one that I think's just going to carry on until he ends up somewhere.
And we'll end up seeing votes all over social media for this one as well. should he come in.
Speaking of votes, if you think we should,
I'm surprised
I have to self-report the promise.
It's
This
sad
is
in
too
a way.
good.
The thing is, though, his price is probably going to be a little bit more realistic now than what he would have been if he was in the Premier League. So,
got to aim higher than that.
I know you do. You do, Jake. I totally agree with it. I agree. I think it's you've done it in the Championship. That's fine, but no, he's not a Liverpool kind of player. I don't think.
I think people forget though he's played in the Prem. People keep going, his Championship numbers. Somerville's played in the Prem. Yeah, James didn't even know. Look, that's how good he was. Yeah, lad, he played in the Premier League when they went out. He played that season. And everyone keeps talking about Championship numbers. Harry Wilson looks world class in the Championship. He's not. It's a completely different game. Mitrovic looked world class. He was 40 goals in the league?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, just stop it. The Somerville shit.
All right.
Not you.
Comment, Jay.
Socials in general, lad. And it's not.
Anyway,
it's people saying like, yeah, get him. Like, stop.
What about Archie Gray?
I don't mind him.
He looks good in the Championship.
Yeah, I actually don't mind him.
I'd take him in a heartbeat myself.
Slot legs, quick wingers.
Let's get Mark Gonzalez, don't I?
Well, he's one of those players I thought was going to be ace.
There's about
I have no reason why I thought he was
going
to be ace.
Yeah, I did. This Chilean winger. Yeah.
South American. Yeah, get in there.
Jen, thanks for joining us late, and thank you very much for the super sticker. Always appreciate the support that you give to the channel. Thank you very much, as always. Jay Muse wants to make a prediction. Pacho, then back. Pacho? Paco?
Should be Paco winning.
Paco Raman. That's Jay's. That's definitely Jay's sent Paco Raman, isn't it? And Bakayoko signed them for 42 before the Euro. Do you know what? I'd be happy with that. That was our summer. I'd be all right. Be good with that.
I do think we will make a couple of signs before the Euros, by the way. Maybe one or two.
As long as, right, and there is always a player that has a cracking Euros, and every fecker wants to sign them, and they always end up shit.
Yeah. Every international tournament.
There's always someone that can play for their country. Milan Baros comes to mind straight away. What a player he was for the Czech Republic. Yeah, it's unbelievable. Couldn't hit a barn door for Liverpool. Generally speaking, Divock Origi had a cracking World Cup. Couldn't hit a barn door unless the pressure was absolutely turned up to 1,000, and then he's just turned into like prime finisher for us, which is, can't moan, legend. Amrabat World Cup.
Well, yeah.
Oh, don't get me started on that.
I think he's been a great signing.
For what we want, yeah.
For what I want, yeah.
Yeah.
Karol Poborski.
Yeah.
What a player.
So again, someone will have a cracking tournament and everyone will be like, oh, sign them. They're the next best thing since sliced bread, and they'll be rubbish.
You know what that causes, James? Salif Jow and El Hadji Diouf.
Oh,
that's exactly what that does, mate. That's exactly what a good tournament is. It signs shit like that.
Yeah.
So there's your warning for anyone you like in the tournament you've never heard of. Don't say you want us to sign them, please, if it's the first time you've seen them.
Unless it's like, Coventry when they signed Mustafa Hadji and Youssef Chipo, because that was a cracker.
What a little duo. And
I can't believe that was a cracking couple of signings.
He looked alike as well, didn't he, a bit?
Yeah.
Quality.
So there we go. Don't watch the Euros. We don't want to sign any players. Get boxing back to the UK. And Kev was at, night with Klopp, and instead of sticking around, he went to the pub to have a few cheeky ones at the end.
That's be done though, hasn't it, James? You know what I mean?
It's a Wednesday. There's a Y in the day.
It was boss though, because I had happy hour beforehand, before we went in one boozer, which was like £3 a pint. So and gin and tonic. So well and truly took that. And then the inside, it was an absolute joke, because it should have been 4 for £26 for a pint in the M&S in the Echo Arena, and then they charged us £30, which was disgraceful. But 4 for 30. So, and you know what, though, it was great though. It was great being in there. I didn't expect it to be as good as what it was. And he was so relaxed, dead calm, nice hearing someone who's just retired and is enjoying it. And I looked with envy and going, I wish I was you, mate, because he was so down to earth, having a few laughs. It was boss. It was great, and great music as well. Like Ferrari from Lightning Seeds, great. Do you know what I mean? Bringing back the matches a day, it was great.
It was good to just see him talking naturally, you know, swearing his head off, saying what he thinks.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what you want to hear.
All I was expecting was James Pearce to come out and he'll give him a big Jürgen hug, but it didn't happen.
He's still waiting somewhere, Pearce.
He is.
He's outside Slots Hotel going, I'm the Liverpool representative. I'm your best friend. I'll shave my head too. Right, this has been LFC Transfer Room. Thank you very much to JK and Kev. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.